Tonight on 24, Trump says the U.S. might take action for nuclear cleanup in Iran.
We're talking about Iran a lot, and I think we have a very good understanding on both.
The U.S. president, returning from China, said he agrees with a 20-year cessation of Tehran's nuclear program if there's a real commitment. UAE's new project to double oil sales. Abu Dhabi says the new plan increases the possibility of not needing the Strait of Hormuz. And a narrative of hope, suffering, and the unified voice of protesting generations. Shahrah, the new joint song by Ebi and Shahin Najafi.
From the Iran International Studio, this is 24 with Fardad Farahzad.
Viewers of Iran International in Iran and around the world, hello and good evening. The U.S. president said Washington might, if necessary, take action to seize enriched uranium stockpiles in Iran. Donald Trump, on his way back from China, said Washington would either take possession of these materials or directly enter Iran at the appropriate time. Trump also, referring to the nuclear talks, said that if Tehran shows a real commitment, he might agree to a 20-year suspension of the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. According to him, if Iran still has any kind of nuclear weapons-related program, there will be no deal. My colleague, Samira Garai, has joined us from the White House. Samira, it's true that Mr. Trump is talking about taking action inside Iranian territory to remove enriched uranium, if necessary. But if I'm not mistaken, and if I am, please correct me, I think this is the first time he is, accepting this 20-year time frame.
Exactly. The most important aspect of his vital discussions on the plane, occurring soon after departing Beijing, centered on the significant topic of 20 years. Which was a question that David Sanger, a New York Times reporter, asked him. And the way the question was framed was very clever, because he didn't ask him, do you agree with 20 years or not? He asked him, why isn't 20 years enough? And why do you think this time frame should be longer? And Mr. Trump said that he could agree with 20 years, if it's a real 20 years, and a 20 years that he can actually implement what Mr. Trump has in mind regarding the nuclear program. This is the first time such an issue is being raised. We had previously heard this number in reports, citing informed sources. For example, from the Islamic Republic side, 5 years, then the number 12 years, 15 years, and that the American side has 20 years in mind. Mr. Trump wants the Islamic Republic to completely set aside any nuclear process for 20 years. If he can achieve this, he agrees with having a cap on limitations. Having a cap on limitations was something similar to the sunset clause in the JCPOA, which Mr. Trump absolutely did not agree with. And it seems he has conditions for this temporary nature that the Islamic Republic hasn't accepted so far. Mr. Trump says that of 14 points they had sent to the Islamic Republic, and which they responded to, he has rejected this. And he only read the very first sentence and didn't read the rest, because in that very first sentence, regarding the nuclear issue and the demands that exist, the Islamic Republic hasn't agreed with them. Let's go and hear some parts of Mr. Trump's remarks.
Regarding Iran, the issue is very interesting. He very strongly believes that Iran should not have nuclear weapons. He said this very decisively. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. And on the other hand, he also wants them to open the Strait of Hormuz. But as he himself said, they closed it, and then you also closed it with a smile. That's right, we control the strait. And in the past about 2.5 weeks, they've practically done no deals, which is equal to almost $500 million a day. So we're doing well from all angles. I'm not asking anyone for concessions, because if you ask someone for concessions, you also have to give concessions yourself, and we don't need anything like that. In practice, we've destroyed their military forces. Maybe a little cleanup work is needed, because we announced a ceasefire for about a month, but we created a very effective blockade, and that was also our goal, and that's also why we announced the ceasefire. We did this ceasefire in response to other countries' requests. I personally wasn't all that convinced, but we did it because of Pakistan. I think it puts pressure because I'm not asking anyone for concessions. I believe that's how it's going to be. I think he also voluntarily wants the strait to be open because about 40% of their energy and oil is supplied through this very strait, but not us. We don't use it at all. We don't need it.
Fardad, this part of Mr. Trump's remarks is a very important section, the discussion about the ceasefire. The discussion is that it wasn't his preference for a ceasefire to be announced, and he did this at the request of the Pakistani government and other governments, that a cleanup, some tidying up still remains there. Let's not forget, whenever Mr. Trump refers to that buried uranium, he calls it nuclear dust, meaning he calls it dust, and that's why he says, well, we hid this, we destroyed it, nothing is left but dust. Elsewhere, responding to a New York Times journalist, a spokesman affirmed, "We destroyed 75% of the Islamic Republic's military capabilities." This significant claim indicates extensive damage, with a firm commitment to take out the rest of them too. This particular statement is noteworthy, as it appears to be the first time since the ceasefire was announced that there has been such explicit assertion about continuing military operations and their intended progression. This clarity signals a determined stance. Furthermore, Israel's Channel 11 reported that Jerusalem conveyed a direct message to Washington, stressing its unwavering desire for Israel's military campaign against the Islamic Republic to persist. All of this is happening. Mr. Trump is currently en route. He's refueled in Alaska, and he'll be landing here in a few hours. He also spoke with Bret Baier from Fox News there, and he talked about underestimating the Islamic Republic before the attack. He said, "I neither underestimated nor overestimated anything in my assessment. Our assessment was correct. I deliberately didn't attack energy infrastructure, the oil infrastructure." He says this on Air Force One. He says, "I hit one bridge, and that was because the Islamic Republic showed bad behavior." Mr. Trump is emphasizing again that if we want to go in and take action, we can hit all the infrastructure within 2 days. Again, Mr. Trump is making this threat, and elsewhere, Mr. Baier tells him that the American people want to know when you're going to end this discussion with the Islamic Republic and this war. And Mr. Trump refers to the wars the United States has had in the last 100 years, to Vietnam, to Iraq, and Afghanistan. And he says, "I've only been involved in this story for 2.5 months." He had said this many times before, that at the end of this path, good things will happen for the energy sector in the United States. Good things will happen for gas prices. What's obvious is that Mr. Trump isn't in a hurry for any kind of action. After returning to the White House tonight, Mr. Trump will make new decisions regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Perhaps we'll have some international actions and alliances ahead to open the Strait of Hormuz. On Air Force One, he had phone calls with both Japanese Prime Minister Takayoshi and German Chancellor Merkel, and they talked about the Strait of Hormuz. In China, he spoke with Mr. Xi about opening the Strait of Hormuz. It seems like some developments might happen in that regard. The Islamic Republic, about what transpired between Xi and Trump regarding the Islamic Republic, which path Mr. Trump will take. Fardad. Thank you. My colleague, Samira Garai, is with us. Fareshte Pezeshk, a noted international relations expert, has also joined us from Washington. Ms. Pezeshk, based on Mr. Trump's recent pronouncements, both inside China during his discussions with his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, and on Air Force One regarding Iran's complex situation, in your professional opinion, does the outcome of these events indicate whether we might see American Marines in Natanz or American diplomats engaging in Islamabad in the coming weeks?
Look, I believe that given the uncompromising approach the Islamic Republic has consistently taken, the continuation of war is simply inevitable and unavoidable. The precise kind of conflict we'll face, and whether Mr. Trump accepts the immense risk of sending American forces deep into Iranian territory or not, well, that's a truly big question anyway, because the fundamental issue is that such an operation would undoubtedly seriously endanger the lives of American forces. We know that the lives of American soldiers and Americans in general are exceptionally valuable, and the American president considers himself personally responsible for them, unlike what we face in Iran. But I think perhaps the only truly effective way Mr. Trump has right now, first, to truly be the victor on the geopolitical field, securing a strategic advantage, and at the same time to achieve those maximum demands he seeks from the Islamic Republic, particularly regarding its nuclear program, is nothing other than being able to remove all enriched uranium from Iran, whether through resolute negotiation or a decisive war, and probably removing some of the current leaders, particularly those currently in power who share the same hardline approach as the Islamic Republic before any conflict. I think these two critical parts are utterly inevitable if a lasting conclusion is to be reached. Time is very important for Mr. Trump, of course.
What do you think could change the equation? Because Mr. Trump has said so many contradictory things in various ways during this time. It's really hard to read between the lines and figure out if really, in the end, another confrontation awaits Iran and America, or if diplomacy still has a chance.
Look, Mr. Trump seems to have a general goal, and that is, for America to be able to create some stability in the Middle East. So it doesn't have to spend so many of its resources on Middle East security. That way, it can go and strengthen itself as a superpower against China and, actually win that competition for America to be the winner of that competition. This, it seems, is not only Mr. Trump's goal, but a big chunk of the American establishment wants this too. Now, how can you, win a war with the Islamic Republic at a time in a situation where the reason the Islamic Republic has been able to overcome the different policies of US presidents over these decades is that it has used time against them, meaning they believe they can take any hit and endure because they are on that soil. And so as long as, just like groups like Hamas, the Taliban, have adopted such a policy, and the US president changes, and the next statesman who comes into office might have other priorities, apart from the fact that the US president himself isn't just dealing with one priority. That's why the Islamic Republic has been able to endure for these 47 years. Now, Mr. Trump has made a specific decision to enter into a direct confrontation and direct war with the Islamic Republic, and he's put forward 3 very specific demands: the resolution of the nuclear issue, the missile issue, and the proxies. The Iranian regime, the Islamic Republic's government, can no longer maintain its character and policies from the past 47 years. Even without a conventional regime change, the remaining political entity cannot adhere to its former operational methods. However, Mr. Trump's method of war has notably failed to deliver his intended outcomes. He hasn't achieved the 3 key objectives he initially targeted. Additionally, the volatile Strait of Hormuz situation now presents a significant added challenge. Despite setbacks, Mr. Trump remains determined to ultimately realize those specific results. Now, previously, his goal was to do this quickly and within a few weeks, but the method of war he adopted didn't bring him that success. Now, it seems that with economic pressure, the naval blockade he's carrying out, plus the possibility that we might have another war ahead, he wants to achieve that outcome. But my take, again, is that unless he can guarantee the removal of the uranium, meaning if they can't get the uranium out of Iran, it's very unlikely that the Islamic Republic will be forced to give in to those demands. I mean, the biggest leverage the Islamic Republic has right now, part of it is these very uraniums that are inside Iranian soil, and that nuclear infrastructure and nuclear knowledge it possesses. That's why these 20 years Mr. Trump is talking about, where absolutely no work is done in the nuclear field and there's a real halt. That's the difference with a JCPOA. And this is what practically imposes victory on the Islamic Republic and can get Mr. Trump what he wants, and also get the rest of these issues. I mean, resolving this issue is the main key to resolving the subsequent problems, which is in fact that change in the nature of the Islamic Republic.
Thank you. Fetish Dev Hizesh, international relations expert from Washington. The Islamic Republic's foreign minister has said Tehran has received messages from the US in recent days, indicating Washington's willingness to continue negotiations. Abbas Araghchi, who is in New Delhi, has said Tehran will always fulfill its historical duty as the guardian of security in the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Mohammad Ali Jafari, commander of the IRGC's Bakiatala garrison, has said that restarting the war would be detrimental to the US. Jabir Rajabi, political analyst, has also joined us. Mr. Rajabi, do the signals we're seeing indicate that both sides are again moving closer to diplomacy?
Endless greetings. The recent developments concerning China are undeniably of paramount global significance. There's a palpable tension, and everyone is wondering about the behind-the-scenes machinations. What's currently circulating in the rumor mills? Whispers suggest a significant proposal was made by former President Trump to China. Now, it's crucial to remember these are merely unsubstantiated reports, not concrete facts, so one must approach them with caution. The core of these rumors centers on a pivotal condition. If China were to agree to cooperate with the United States regarding a proposed blockade, or more broadly, to cease its support for the Islamic Republic, it's a leap to the sector of a full-scale direct military conflict. A truly massive war might begin to recede. Instead, we might see a shift towards more contained, smaller-scale actions. China's geopolitical weight and economic influence makes its stance absolutely critical in this delicate global balance right now. The Islamic Republic's dynamic with China has significantly evolved. Now, the Islamic Republic forces China to choose, prioritize its specific interests or those of other regional nations. It is unequivocally clear that China's economic and strategic interests, including trade, energy, and stability, are vastly more substantial across the broader region than with the Islamic Republic alone. This marks a stark contrast to the past, when the Islamic Republic's main concern was America. Currently, its regional approach cannot adequately provide the essential economic and security provisions that its neighbors critically require. China's strategic alignment is paramount. If China cooperates with America or ceases supporting the Islamic Republic, the existing siege will become absolutely crippling. This offers the potential to secure vital objectives for America, goals direct military conflict might never achieve. It's essential to closely monitor how these intricate geopolitical dynamics unfold. Moreover, the recent ceasefire played a specific pivotal role. There's strong indication its precise outcome was a calculated strategic aim for American policymakers, likely setting the stage for future developments. For the Islamic Republic to kind of step out of the war atmosphere a bit, to cool down a little, meaning for that intensity to go away, to cool down a bit, to look around itself a little, and see what has happened. This is now having an impact on economic issues. Look, after all, a lot of its raw material imports and exports have been with countries in the region. And then, I think at this stage, with that same China issue, if we want to look at it, the Islamic Republic gradually needs to move towards realism. It's the same for America. Look, for America too, there was no assessment of the Strait of Hormuz issue before this. Really, no one knew what the global impact would be if something happened in the Strait of Hormuz. This had to happen once and for all. Now the world understands that this place is really important. They want to clarify its status, to take this card away from the Islamic Republic. As for the nuclear issue, I think with those economic pressures, provided these two issues move forward, it's heading in a direction where if there's a next round of negotiations, if the Republic doesn't want to negotiate, I still think America will wait for a while until they feel more pain, cool down more, and see what happens. Otherwise, if the Islamic Republic wants to go and do the things it's doing now, go seize ships again, try to strike, or that happens, again, there's another issue. It's about a coalition. This time, if there's a war, it will be a coalition war, not small skirmishes. And this can't be to the benefit of the Islamic Republic, because the start of the previous war was about America. But if the current war happens, the Islamic Republic's regional and global threat is for the world. So here, the countries in the region, the countries of the world, this time, the Islamic Republic used to make excuses, saying, "You helped me come here." Now, they really won't help. The countries of the world, even the Europeans who used to stand aside, now understand what has happened. They'll do their part. When this happens, I think things will get very difficult for the Islamic Republic.
Very briefly, if you could say, how much do you think the Persian Gulf countries can change the equations?
On the China issue, they can change a lot. Even before Trump's visit, the UAE head of state spoke with Trump. In that, they can really influence China not to support the Islamic Republic. On this side, any agreement that might happen. Look, the Gulf countries, before the war, had almost $600–700 billion in investment contracts with the US. They have this leverage over America. So for these investments to continue, I think America needs to coordinate much more with these countries.
Thank you, Jaber Rajabi, political analyst. The United Arab Emirates says it's accelerating a new oil pipeline project to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. According to Abu Dhabi officials, this pipeline will double the capacity for oil exports from Fujairah port by 2027, a move that could reduce the UAE's reliance on the Strait of Hormuz and keep the country's oil export route more secure. Mehdi Masti, an oil market expert from London, joined us. Mr. Masti, there's no doubt that ultimately a pipeline from the UAE's western coast to Fujairah will help them bypass the Strait of Hormuz. But we saw in these recent conflicts that the Islamic Republic even targeted Fujairah. If the UAE's energy resources at their final destination are targeted by the Islamic Republic again, what good does simply having a pipeline from west to east in the UAE do for them?
Greetings to you, dear Fardad, and to the people of Iran. The reality is, first off, let me say that this represents a truly significant geopolitical shift in the global oil market for the Arab countries of the Persian Gulf. These nations, I genuinely believe, had placed an immense, indeed overwhelming reliance on the Strait of Hormuz as their primary export route. This critical maritime passage itself, in terms of inherent risk, is considered a singular point of failure. This presents a profound problem that any nation or major institution involved in global energy must decisively address. The point you mentioned is undeniably true. In the past, the Revolutionary Guard, I recall, launched approximately 6 missiles and drones towards Fujairah. This aggressive act tragically set one of the large fuel tanks ablaze. While that specific location or route is now generally considered a relatively safer area for transit, the current circumstances present a different, more pressing issue. According to reports from Iran International, jet fuel has become incredibly scarce. This critical shortage of aviation fuel is having a direct and severe impact, compelling numerous European airlines to cancel a significant portion of their flights, disrupting travel plans due to lack of supply. This situation highlights a critical market challenge, and it's UAE oil, specifically the high-quality Murban crude, my personal favorite for its superior properties, that is uniquely positioned to solve it. Exported efficiently through the strategic port of Fujairah, this valuable resource is reaching key European refineries in Spain and the Netherlands. This robust supply chain is effectively mitigating a significant market problem, delivering oil at a very favorable price. Ultimately, the comprehensive logistical and strategic effort undertaken by the UAE in this endeavor is indeed a very extensive undertaking, meaning for it to suddenly leave OPEC and substantially double its oil output solely via the Fujairah route. I mean, right now it's about 1.5 million barrels, and they're increasing that to 3 million barrels. And furthermore, it has set a target to significantly increase its oil exports to 6 million barrels of oil by 2027, an impressive leap from 5 million to 6 million barrels. This is truly an astonishing feat that the Emiratis have decided upon. I think all of this comes from, as they say, a specific package of political planning and strategy that the UAE government has arrived at.
Mr. Masti, as you yourself mentioned, this very withdrawal of the UAE from OPEC and OPEC+, all of this sends signals that the Emiratis are separating their accounts from the rest of the GCC countries. Now, they finally have this option at Fujairah port to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, but the Kuwaitis, Bahrainis, and Qataris don't have such an option unless they want to use the territory of their neighboring countries. When we see all of this, these accounts separating from each other, and everyone's looking for a solution for themselves, what will its translation be in the energy market?
Look, the energy market has been subjected to very, very heavy pressure due to global instabilities and demand surges. Just for your information, let me tell you that today, the price of uranium, which is, well, used for nuclear power plants, has increased by a significant 17%. This clearly signals the market's urgency, meaning the market, well, can't just wait around until the persistent oil issue is finally resolved, until the geopolitical complexities around the Strait of Hormuz are mitigated. I mean, they're definitively going towards other energy solutions. But in these circumstances, I think the region isn't solely about exporting its oil. The rest, suppose, encompasses critical sectors like chemical fertilizers, and the financial returns from these diverse exports are now essential. The supply chain for vital materials to many countries is currently severely disrupted. This instability is actively exacerbated by the Revolutionary Guard's declared intent to manage regional security, a strategy disturbingly involving blowing up tankers and cargo ships. Such deliberate maritime sabotage creates an untenable situation. Nations cannot passively await resolution, as their economic and national security demand proactive engagement. Traditional structures like OPEC and Persian Gulf alliances have consistently proven inadequate in meeting members' needs or ensuring stable supply. This systemic failure, coupled with direct threats, suggests new, more effective strategic alliances will inevitably emerge to safeguard critical interests. Discussions are actively underway concerning an Arab NATO aimed at fostering regional security. While I won't detail specific alliance formations, it is clear many countries perceive significant problems within the region. Until these issues are resolved, these nations will persistently seek collaborative solutions. The critical challenge, fundamentally, is the ongoing presence and influence of the Revolutionary Guard and the Islamic Republic. Their actions constitute a significant structural risk, directly affecting regional stability, economic markets, and investor confidence. This inherent threat necessitates exploring robust collective defense mechanisms. In any case, I mean, even if tomorrow there are absolutely no problems for the settlement, resolution, and movement of tankers and, well, commercial ships, this risk still exists because it can start at any moment. And with this risk present, commodity prices will be high all over the world. So the world needs to do something about this. This is where I think the Prime Minister, let's say, of Britain, or Mr. Macron, they can no longer say this isn't our problem, because it is the problem of consumers in these countries. I believe it can't last too long, and they must somehow reduce this risk, completely eliminate the risk.
But if this situation persists even a little longer than it already has, how much of a danger is there for Persian Gulf countries that major global buyers will broaden their shopping baskets and actively seek other sources? During Mr. Trump's trip to Beijing, for example, we saw the Chinese promised to buy more oil from the US, signaling a clear intent to diversify energy imports. We know the US, thanks to its shale boom, possesses significant export capacity and can readily expand it. Other formidable players are also emerging, from the North Sea in Europe to diverse nations in Africa. Now, Venezuela itself can again have new potential, given its vast proven reserves and the possibility of future policy shifts. How much do you think the Persian Gulf countries might move away from the centrality they had in the energy market due to regional insecurities?
Look, a heavy blow is dealt to the economies of these countries, which are mainly reliant on oil. That's why these countries, while being very, very wealthy in this regard, any adversary should be afraid of the wealth they possess. Consider this, just as an aside, Saudi Arabia, with all its vastness and its population, sells 6 million more barrels of oil per day. But the UAE, with its, well, small local population, it also wants to sell 6 million. And I really believe I have a question. What does it want to do with these 6 million barrels of oil per day, with this very, very valuable oil? This cost with this investment, this is where I think the Islamic Republic, the Revolutionary Guard, must come to the conclusion that they are facing very wealthy and tough adversaries, and they are willing, in any case, to do whatever it takes to resolve these market problems. You see, the UAE, anyway, has an escape route through the Fujairah pipeline, but Qatar doesn't, and Qatar is mainly reliant on its gas and LNG, no route, because look, if they want to transport LNG through this very route, let's say through UAE territory, they need to keep something below negative 167 degrees to be able to transport this liquid. This is also impossible. If they want to transport it as gas, the cost is very high, and also the risk is very high. There are many problems for this. Bahrain, similarly, there are problems for the country. Anyway, they rely on the traffic they have through the Strait of Hormuz. That's why I strongly believe they simply cannot afford to tolerate the escalating severity of this particular risk and the inherent problems it presents for an extended period.
Thank you. Mehdi Moslehi, oil market expert from London.
Thank you.
Several months after the January protests and the disappointment of some people regarding the improvement of the situation in Iran, a number of artists tried to play a crucial role in supporting the protesters and also keeping people's hope alive. In one of the latest of these efforts, Ibrahim Hamidi, Ebi, this time released a new song called Shahrah with Shahin Najafi to talk about hope and resilience. Let's watch a part of this music video together.
At the heart of night, we fell in hand-to-hand combat, one by one. This last supper, its tablecloth stained with blood, tells my mother not to wait.
Let our voices be the balm on the street's wounds. If I'm not around, give my spot to the next one. Throw my medals at the feet of these tough guys. Tell them what hearts these 80s kids had. We know despair is a mistake. We'll stay on this path, which is the main road. We'll sing this anthem with one voice. We'll build tomorrow's Iran together. We know despair is a mistake.
Ebi and Shahin Najafi themselves, the singers and creators of this work, are with us from Los Angeles. Thank you both, gentlemen. Ebi John, where did the idea for this work come from? Was it before the war? Was it after the protests? How did you come to such a decision?
Greetings to you, Fardad John, and the rest of the esteemed viewers, and especially my dear Shahin in Munich, amidst that incredible crowd of 250,000 people. Truly, in that harsh and grueling cold that permeated everything, I actually had the wonderful chance for Shahin to be by my side, which made a significant difference. I approached him and proposed, Shahin John, if you're amenable, I'd love for us to sing a duet. The duration, whether a short song or a longer piece, was genuinely inconsequential to me. What I found truly remarkable was our respective journeys. I had traveled a considerable distance to Munich from Spain, and Shahin, coincidentally, had journeyed all the way from America. And apparently, on the way back on the plane, he finishes the work. As soon as he arrived in Los Angeles, a day or two later, he called and said he'd made the song. I really couldn't believe the work would be made so quickly. And immediately after that, we specifically went to London. There, we diligently sang our new song in a professional studio and also expertly shot its accompanying video on location with a few trusted friends.
Shahin, in this song, it's constantly said that despair is a mistake, and really, perhaps in such circumstances, in any circumstances, sometimes hope is the only thing that moves us forward. But many Iranians have paid very heavy costs during the day-month massacre, during the war, and perhaps they ask themselves, in these very complex circumstances, where the future is still dark and uncertain, and there's talk of negotiations between Iran and America, how can this hope still be kept alive?
Look, the truth is, politics always has one part despair, one part hope. In fact, these are always together. We never, at any point in history, in the political arena, have ideal conditions to say, this is a safe ground now. And this can even apply to the political conditions of countries anyway, meaning whether you live in Europe or in America or in Iran, there are always adversities. But specifically regarding Iran, I actually think that if we compare just this past year with the past 4 decades, especially considering the extensive villainies and crimes that the Islamic Republic has committed, we should actually be more hopeful than ever now. This profound hope, arguably unprecedented, is primarily due to the surging solidarity, the newfound unity among diverse groups, and significantly, the tangible presence of our national leader. This pivotal development, which has practically happened for the first time, showcases showcases how Prince Reza Pahlavi has effectively managed to bring all these previously scattered pieces of a complex national puzzle closer together, forging a unified path for the nation. All of us, from different ages, different social strata, Shia, Sunni, from different parts of Iran, and this, in my opinion, is the greatest hope, and we shouldn't forget it. We are on the real ground of politics. Khamenei has been killed, many IRGC commanders have been killed, the Islamic Republic is in its weakest state in the past 40 years. All of these, in my opinion, are very promising.
Ebi John, from the very beginning after the revolution, you did many works that had a political flavor and opposition to the Islamic Republic. Back then, in the early days, the Islamic Republic was really quite alien to art. I mean, it had banned every type of music. Now it seems they've reached, well, perhaps a certain shrewdness, if I want to call it that. Government singers are doing cultural works, like these Lego videos we see them making now, for example, even for non-Persian speaking audiences. How much more important do you think these artistic works become in these circumstances when it's taken on a wartime state and the Islamic Republic has also, rolled up its sleeves now?
Anyway, in my opinion, every action the Islamic Republic takes is its own business. We who are standing on this side of the river or on this side of the world, definitely, our work is just so vastly different from theirs. And in my opinion, whatever they work on more, we should also work more. We should be able to have a lot of work, be able to gather our compatriots around these efforts of ours. Our most potent work, indeed our most effective weapon in this ongoing struggle, is undeniably this microphone and the powerful collective voice we are privileged to possess. It is therefore imperative, in my opinion, that we exploit its full potential to the absolute maximum extent possible. Consequently, we truly ought to make every conceivable effort, regardless of our geographical proximity or distance, to ensure our physical presence and vocal participation at all these vital gatherings and assemblies. Anyway, we also have ways to fight. We have ways to fight. Our fight is our voice. It's our microphone. It's our music. And we should make the maximum use of it.
Let me ask you this too, dear Shahin. There are artists right now inside Iran, I can even name names like Mohsen Chavoshi, who are very actively singing in unison with the government. How much, in your opinion, does this increase the importance of the work of people like you on the side of the protesters?
Look, if you want the truth, what happens in my heart, separate from all this division, which again, in the end, I blame the Islamic Republic for, let me put it this way. If I, just a regular person, like me, tomorrow, end up in a situation where the Republic has lost, handed over the political ground to the people, but Mohsen Chawashis and people like him have remained. History has repeatedly shown this pattern in politics. In time, these very same well-intentioned people will inevitably welcome back individuals like Mohsen Chavoshi, despite our current certainty that he is mistaken. It's plausible that such figures, especially artists, are essentially caught as pawns or hostages in a larger game. After all, an artist's role is typically not to engage in complex political equations. My perspective is clear. We must concentrate on our own work. Our true struggle is not against someone like Mohsen Chavoshi, but rather the underlying circumstances and systems. Our fight is with the regime itself, an oppressive system that has forced artists, for whatever reason, to bow down to its dictates and stifle their creativity. Our discussion is fundamentally about artistic freedom. Any system or form of pressure, like censorship or ideological control, exerted on artistic works or artists is naturally condemned by us. Ultimately, I believe we must see that the Iranian nation will remain. Its vibrant art will endure, while a political order like the Islamic Republic will inevitably pass. We will certainly witness this, especially as the Islamic Republic has failed in all areas. The Islamic Republic is a mafia-like regime that really has nothing left but missiles. This isn't just a slogan anymore. In cultural fields, they spent all this, so they failed. And in my opinion, as much as we can, we should approach things inclusively, collectively, even leave the door open, according to the Prince's principles, for those who might realize their mistake in a few years, or, I don't know, sometime later, and return to the embrace of the nation.
Dear Ebi, let me ask you about the spirit of this song, Hope. Earlier, I think it was a month or two ago, I had spoken with you in Europe. The talk was that perhaps this time, hope for the overthrow of the Islamic Republic is greater than ever before. But we've seen that there are many ups and downs along the way. How hopeful are you yourself? And how much do you think what was in your song can really come true?
Actually, for us, for the collective, and for me, the only thing left is profound hope. This is not a false or fleeting optimism. It's a real, tangible hope for a better future. Crucially, this genuine hope has a clear path and a leader to guide it, Prince Reza Pahlavi. And millions of supporters. Millions of supporters. We're stuck together like a chain, and we use it in the best way we know how. And I'm really not a pessimistic person about this whole thing at all. Although I follow the news, I see that, well, a lot of things seem to be disappointing, but there's no way I'm going to lose my hope here. A few others, like me, anyway, we can certainly be productive, consistently achieving goals and contributing valuable efforts. We also need to do more. It's crucial to intensify our collective efforts. I am convinced that we must steadfastly maintain hope and our unwavering resolve until this oppressive regime inevitably falls. Therefore, it is crucial that we fully leverage our specific talents and unique expertise. We must make the absolute best use of what we know how to do, responsibly utilizing the platform, the microphone we hold.
Shahin, could you please quickly answer this question for me right now?
What was the question exactly? Exactly about hope?
About hope, how much can one really remain hopeful despite all these ups and downs?
I look at the matter this way. The truth is, we are condemned to be hopeful. We really have no other choice. We only have one thing ahead of us, the fall of the Islamic Republic and victory. Absolutely under no circumstances are we allowed, in whatever position we are in, to stop this hope and anything that might break this hope. Any form of creating division, any form of breaking the ranks of unity, which naturally both the system and Prince Reza Pahlavi himself strongly emphasize. For this reason, for me, hope is a final tool, and victory on this path is a final decree.
Thank you to both of you artists, Ebi and Shahin Najafi from Los Angeles. Before saying goodbye, let's watch another part of the song Shahrah by Ebi and Shahin Najafi, and we'll end the program with this very song.
Our destiny was written with your noble sacrifice. Truly lucky are we who are alive to sacrifice our lives like you. Breath by breath, our hearts and chests are filled with courage. The oppressive cage will surely break in the end. Let mothers later tell the inspiring story of this crucial battle in their cherished tales. Tales, tales, tales. Profoundly understand that despair is a rage, an emotion that only hinders progress. Therefore, we will resolutely stay on this chosen path, which is undeniably the main road towards our collective future. With a single, unified voice, we shall powerfully sing this anthem, embodying our shared spirit and unwavering determination. Together, hand in hand, we are committed to actively building tomorrow's Iran, constructing its foundations with collaborative effort and enduring hope.